The Easter egg ellipse challenge. Let's give it a go. We're going to draw an Easter egg using the concentric circles ellipse method.
Welcome back to another technical graphics lesson, or graphics if you want to call it. And what we're going to do today, given that we are approaching Easter, the celebration, and we're very familiar with certain items at Easter, in particular Easter eggs. And Easter eggs have, a geometry that we can use certain methods that we learn in technical graphics to draw. So, for example, we can draw an Easter egg using parabolas, circles, arcs, and ellipses, and so forth. And today we're going to use an ellipse to create an Easter egg. So, first things first, the information for the ellipse. So, we have we're going to use the concentric circles method. So, with the concentric circles method, apologies about my screen focusing there, should be okay there now. With the concentric circles method, we have two circles that allow us to create constructions to find points for our ellipse. So we're going to use the concentric circles method today, and the two circles are called the minor circle and the major circle. So the minor circle equals radius 60, and the major circle equals radius 100. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we're going to locate a point roughly in the center of our page here, and we're going to draw a circle with a radius of 60 and a circle with a radius of 100. And they are going to be concentric, meaning they share the same center point. So, in order to find halfway in our page, firstly what we'll do is we'll come down roughly about 135, okay, on the side border on the left hand side. And what we'll do is we'll draw a very light line across there, like so. And then what we'll do is we'll mark in 200 millimeters from the border, okay? So 200. Like so. So now we have roughly located the center point of our page. Doesn't have to be the exact center. And of course, if you'd want to do it to one side or to the other, you go ahead. Now what I want to do is I want to draw my circles. So, I'll give a little more light on that. So in order to draw the circles here, I take my compass and I place the needle of the compass, which is the pointy bit, on point 0. And then I stretch the compass lead, which is the lead end, out to 60. Like so, or 6 centimeters. And what I do is I'm going to place it, I'm going to label my center point, point O. So I'm going to place the needle of my compass at point O, and I am going to scribe a circle. And try and keep the circle light. I'm just going to keep my circle light but visible for you guys at home, okay? So there's my minor circle, okay? Now I'm not going to write in minor, because I don't want it influencing the detail of my ellipse when I draw it. Next thing I want to do is I want to get the radius for the major circle. So as we said there, it's 100. I'm going to put the needle of my compass on 0. I'm going to stretch out to 100, which is 10 centimeters. And make sure you're good and accurate here, and make sure the lead on your compass is nice and sharp. If you want to sharpen it, get a little bit of sandpaper, okay? Or those of you who have fancier items, you might have a lead sharpener, which looks like a very small pencil pair. I have one somewhere, but I prefer to use the sandpaper. So now I'm going to scribe my second circle, which is the major circle, which has a radius of 100. Okay? So I now have two circles there. Okay? I have the minor circle and the major circle. Now, we use a particular method to divide up the circle. And we're going to do that now. So, firstly what we're going to do is we are going to draw our minor axis. Now, in previous examples you would have seen that the ellipses we drew were what we call horizontal ellipses. Okay? So where the major axis is on the horizontal and the minor on the vertical. However, in the case of the Easter egg, we want it to be upright. So we are going to have our minor radius, or our minor axis, apologies, on the horizontal and our major axis on the vertical. So, from one side of the minor circle to the other, through point 0, draw a center line or an axis line, which is a long dash and a short dash line. Okay, that's my minor axis right there. And then for my major, let's get the other set square, and we're going to line up with point 0. And of course I'm using my t-square and set square together here. Very important that that line is perfectly vertical. I line up with point 0, and again I draw another axis line, which is a long dash, short dash line. Okay, and you can keep that line light. Okay, and it is a significant line both ways because it gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 points on our ellipse. Alright, so those points are points on the ellipse. Technically those points are called vertex points because they're the points at which the curve turns and changes direction, and we call those vertex points. So an ellipse essentially has 4 of those vertex points. Okay, vertex. Now, in order to find the other points for the ellipse, what we're going to do is we're going to divide up the circle into 30 degree, 60 degree lines, all of which pass through the point O. So I'll take another colour here so we can differentiate. And all we're going to do, start at point 0, t-square and set square together, line up your 30 degree with point 0, and from one side of the major circle to the other, draw a 30 degree line, like so. Flip your set square over, make sure the t-square is in against the edge of the board, and draw a second 30 degree line going the opposite way, like so. Then we're going to flip up our 60 degrees. So again, t-square, set square together, t-square in against the edge of the board, line up with point 0, and let's draw another. Well, we're drawing a 60 degree line this time, aren't we? The 60 degree angle. And you guessed it, we're going to draw one more 60 degree line running through point 0 from one side of the major circle to the other, like so. Okay, now this gives us a number of points which we can now use to find our ellipse detail. Okay, so what I am going to do now is I'm going to focus on this upper quadrant here. Now there's all sorts of shortcuts from this point forward with the concentric circles method. For example, we can continue with our constructions here in just 1/4 of the ellipse, and we can mirror the points around. Okay, but for the purpose of sticking true to the concentric circles method for this ellipse Easter egg challenge, we'll go through all of the constructions as we normally would. So what I want to do here now is I want to focus on this point here. Okay, that first 60 degree line where it hits there, I'm going to draw a very light construction line, horizontal, inwards. Don't worry about the length of it. Okay, where that same 60 degree line hit the minor circle, here I draw, using my t-square and set square together, a vertical line straight up from that point to intersect the previous point, previous line. So we have a horizontal line from the outside, a vertical line from the inside, and what they give us is they give us a point on the ellipse. So if I were to label that, let's say this is point 1 and that's point 2, well, they find point 3 for us. Okay, and point 3 is the point that's on the ellipse. So in each case where you have a 60 degree or 30 degree line, okay, we are going to project horizontally from the outside point and vertically from the inside point. Now that vertically could be up or down, and you'll see when we get to the bottom half of the ellipse how the vertical line goes down. So I'm going to repeat that method now, okay, for my other points. So we've here and here. I'm going to draw a light line there. I may draw that a little bit longer, and of course you'll be drawing these very lightly. They're construction lines, and up from here. Now we have another point on our ellipse. Okay, it's very important that those lines, alright, from the outside are perfectly horizontal. I prefer to draw them with the t-square, and then the lines that are going vertical are drawn with the T-square and Z-square working together. Okay? So we're going to repeat that now for the rest of our points. So, going to project in, project down, and we have another point located. Likewise, we go down to the bottom here. And we'll highlight another point there. Like so. And likewise, we're going to do the same over on the other side of the ellipse, the other half of it. And down. And I'm just putting a dot on the points here just so I can highlight them to you as you're looking along. So make sure those lines are perfectly horizontal and vertical. Like so. And finally, the last point. And I said there's all sorts of shortcuts there to doing that, but we are going to stick with our trusted method for the moment. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points on the ellipse now. So what we want to do now is we want to join those points up as best we can. Okay? And here's the key thing, alright? That we go ever so lightly first. So we do basically like a construction arc first. And this is freehand, okay? Or if you have a flexible curve, which is an item used for drawing curves, you can use that. What I do is I go very lightly first, okay? And I take my time all the way around before I heavy in, because I don't want a situation where I draw something really heavy and really messy, which can easily happen on an ellipse. Trust me. Okay, and we don't want these lines that are very broken or jagged lines. We want a nice neat single line curve. Okay, so once I get around, I can very lightly have a construction arc right there. Now once I have that construction arc, and the key thing is, when I am drawing my points, I am always looking at the point ahead of me, okay? That's my biggest tip when we're drawing freehand curves, from point to point. Look at the point ahead of you. Your eye and your pencil will follow where you're looking, okay? That's the trick in that. Now, I want to heavy that curve in, okay? So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to go back now with a heavier. If you have a heavier pencil or you want to use a fine liner marker, these are 0.3mm fine liners. They're very nice. You can now go back over your curve. Okay. And nice and steady does it. And you can follow your points around. And even here as you're going along, if you weren't happy with some of the curve stuff you put in the first place, you can always adjust as you're going along. So I'll be moving along, always keeping an eye on the point ahead of me, moving around, down towards the bottom. So I get down to there, I'm going to go to here. And all the way around. Okay, so that's my vertical ellipse drawn. That's the outline for the Easter egg. The next thing I want to do is I want to add like a little ribbon band here and a ribbon band here. And what we're going to do for those ribbon bands is we're going to line them up with our minor circle. So we're going to get the T-square back now. I'm going to go to the top of my minor circle. I'll mark the point right there. And I'm going to line my T-square up with that point, like so, and draw a vertical line or a horizontal line straight across. Okay, that line will be tangential to the minor circle. Okay, from there then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 10 millimeters. Okay, so 10 millimeters above that point, which is 1 centimeter, I'm going to mark a second dot. And what I'm going to do there now is another horizontal line going from one side of the ellipse to the other, like so. Okay, now I'm going to repeat that on the bottom. So go to the bottom of my minor circle, tangential line, a horizontal line, straight across it from one side of the ellipse to the other, and then likewise then mark down 1 centimeter or 10 millimeters, another point, and again line up your T-square for a second horizontal line. Now, those are the ribbon bands top and bottom on a traditional Easter egg wrapping that you might see. They're not that common anymore, but nevertheless, what we want to do now is we want to measure from point 0 down to the first horizontal line on the bottom ribbon. That's 60 millimeters, of course. That's the radius of the minor circle. And what we want to do is we want to mark 30 millimeters. Okay? Like so. Now, once I have that 30 millimeters, and I'm going to use my pen in a very basic compass here for this part, I want to draw a little circle here. Okay? So, with the circle here, we're going to put the point of the compass, the needle of the compass on 0, and we are going to measure to 15 millimeters. Okay? 15, like so. That's 1.5 centimeters. And we're going to put the needle of the compass on the point I've just marked, which is halfway between the ribbon and the center point, and we're going to draw a circle. Like so. Okay, and this is just part of the design of the egg. Okay, and I'm going to repeat the same thing up on the other side. So again, we'll just go up 30 millimeters. We'll mark a point 30 millimeters up from the center point, like so. Just double check to see has your compass stayed in the correct position, and it has. It's still at 15 millimeters. Always be careful of that. Double check before you swing the second circle, and swing the circle. Like so. So now we have two ribbons, two circles, and what we're going to do is we're going to put in a crack line on the eggshell. Okay? In order to do the crack line on the eggshell, what we're going to do is we are going to divide up the minor axis. Okay? The minor axis is this line right here, that horizontal line. So we're going to divide it up into units of 20 millimeters, 2 centimeters. So there's 20. 20 and 20 is 40. Of course, 60 is the center. Plus 20 is 80. Plus 20 is 100. And of course, all the way over to the other side is 120. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to create little equilateral triangles. Okay? Essentially, that's what they will be. So from each point, we're going to draw a 60-degree line, okay, to give us a broken shell-like pattern. So, I'll go back. I'm going to do this lightly first, and I mentioned the word equilateral, so that means that the angles of these crack lines are going to be 60 degrees. Okay? So from beginning at the outside of the minor axis, I'm going to draw a line, 60 degrees, very lightly. I'll just make that visible to you at home there, like so. You can see that. Okay? The next one gets drawn in the opposite direction, so I flip over my set square, draw back the other way. Flip it back over, 60 degrees, flip it back over, 60 degrees, flip it back over, 60 degrees, and of course I could draw all of them lines, 60 degrees all in one direction first and then the other direction after, but I want you to be able to see the broken shell line pattern appearing. And again, 60 degrees, 60 degrees, And then the last two now, okay, 60 degrees and 60 degrees. Okay, now what we can do then is we can heavy in our lines. Okay, so I'm going to heavy in just to where they meet at the top. So I'm going to do all the ones in this direction first, and then I'll focus on the other ones in the other direction after. Like so. And then what we can do is like that. And we can get our points back nice and neat, like so, and finally like that. Okay, so I have my broken shell pattern there. Alright, and what I can do now is I can start to add a little bit of colour to this Easter egg. So normally, you know, you have a nice gold wrapper on an Easter egg. So I'm going to take my bit of yellow, and you can see I'm focusing on, when I'm rendering, I'm focusing on heavy colour towards the borderline, and you'll see in a few moments then I kind of, when I do the rest of the surface, I do it ever so lightly. Okay. And be careful not to colour in the ribbon, we'll give that a different colour. And you can see how I'm going much lighter there in the middle of the surface and getting heavier as I get towards the bottom. Okay? And that gives a nice kind of tone effect. What we don't want is really heavy blotchy colour or single tone heavy marker that's taken away from the detail and the construction that you've put in. We want the construction to be visible. When I mean construction, all those lines you drew in to create the ellipse, and so on and so forth. Okay? What we'll do there is we'll just kind of do the perimeter of the circle, just to kind of highlight that circle a little bit more there. Doesn't have to be really exact, guys, just, you know, just to give a bit of an effect there. And then on the top half of the egg, if you wanted to change colour of the wrapper, we could go to a nice kind of an orange. Okay. And we can, again, apply the same method as we did before. Okay. Like so. That's going to what we call highlight the break line between the top half of the egg and the bottom half of the egg, like so. And then we have the little bit here at the top. Again, we want to avoid the ribbon. We're going to give that a different colour. We'll decide in a few moments what sort of colour we put in there. And remember, lightly infill the surface. Okay? And of course, if you see any discrepancies, you can go back over them. Likewise now, I'll head back down here. Keep things nice and light. Okay. Head over to this side. So there's a little bit in the colouring in here. It's a big ellipse. And then I want to highlight around the circle, okay? And you can go around the circle just at your leisure, okay? Don't get dizzy. We don't want to be falling off the chair, okay? So I have that highlighted, that's lovely. Now what I want to do is I want to pick two other colours for the ribbons. I think I'll pick a nice, well, I could go alternates. I could go orange down here and yellow up there, but I think I'll add in some green instead, just to give it a bit of a multicoloured approach. Okay? And again, keep those little border bits heavy there. We'll do the green up here too. Green there for Ireland and spring and all the growth this time of the year. The leaves coming back on the trees and so on. Okay, and then what we'll have then in the middle is we will use I think we'll use a blue here on the inside of the circle, like so. And you can see how I am circling around into the center, and how I'm pressing on the pencil here is really important. I'm getting lighter and lighter as I get to the center. Okay, and then down in the bottom half there, I think we'll go with a pink. And again, same method. Okay, and there we have a nice simple Ellipse Easter egg design. Okay, lovely bit of colouring, rendering and so on. Okay, and that might be something that's very nice to stick up at home during the Easter period, and you can Easter egg. Okay, and of course if you want to add more details in on the surfaces here anywhere, by all means you go ahead and personalize it and do whatever you wish with it. Okay, but that's the Easter egg challenge. Okay, elliptical, minor, we're using the concentric circles method. Minor circle radius 60, major circle radius 100. Follow the 60-30 method. Then focus on the decorative details then after. Okay, and wishing you all a very happy Easter and have a good one.